Elvis, Burning Love and Hits from His Movies, Volume 2. Both sides of a recent smash hit single, plus 8 random movie songs. Well, that's what I thought. I knew that a few of the tunes on that album were based on old public domain melodies, but a viewer got in touch with me recently to point out that, in fact, all 8 of the movie tunes on that album were based on very old songs. So that does beg the question, did someone at RCA actually put some thought into compiling that album? Well, we'll come to that in a moment, but just before we do, let's take a look at where all these songs came from originally. The newest song of the 8 movie tracks on the album was Guadalajara, which had been composed in 1937 by Pepe Guizar in honor of his hometown, Guadalajara in Mexico. And in fact, it's the only one that is credited to the original composer, because all the other ones were hundreds of years old. Then we also have Santa Lucia, which was credited to Elvis, or arranged by Elvis Presley. This song is actually a traditional Neapolitan song dating back before 1849, about Lucia of Syracuse, known as Saint Lucy, I think, in English, who was a Roman Christian virgin martyr who died in the year 304. Apparently, she had her eyes gouged out. Now, what about this one? Have a listen to this tune and tell me which song it reminds you of. That was La Paloma, a Spanish song from 1860. The melody sounds very similar to No More, written by or credited to Hal Blair and Don Robertson. Paloma apparently means dove, which is why you get one on the Italian single picture sleeve. Okay, let's see if you know the next one.
Oh, Shenandoah, I hear you calling. Hi, oh, you rolling river. Oh, Shenandoah, I long to hear you.
So that's a 19th century American folk song called Oh Shenandoah, on which Giant Bomb and Kay based the melody of Tender Feeling. I actually knew about that because on the Japanese Kissing Cousins LP cover, it does say Shenandoah in brackets after the Japanese title. Okay, now listen to this lovely melody on the piano. That was a piece called To a Wild Rose, which was composed by the American Edward MacDonald in 1896. And it comes from a suite of 10 short piano pieces called Woodland Sketches. Now, Tepper and Bennett, Sid Tepper and Roy Bennett, they took that melody and composed Am I Ready from the Spin Out album. Another beautiful melody up next. Have a listen to this. That particular piece is Belle Nuit or Nuit d'Amour, which is taken from Offenbach's final opera from 1881 called The Tales of Hoffmann. In English it means Beautiful Night, O Night of Love. Now the composers Wayne and Silver took that melody and composed Tonight Is So Right for Love, originally on the GI Blues album, of course. Okay, let's take a look at a piece from an old black and white film for the next one.
Carmen, Carmela, luz de mis ojos, si luz no hubiera, habías de ser hermoso faro de venturanza, dulce esperanza, bello placer.
That particular song is known as Carmen Carmela, which is an old Spanish-American song. And O'Curran and Brooks took that melody and wrote We'll Be Together for Elvis's movie Girls, Girls, Girls. Brooks, of course, being Dudley Brooks, who played piano on a lot of Elvis's early songs. All right, and the last one. That was an old French song from the 17th century called Auprès de ma blonde, which means next to my girl in English. And the composers Sid Tepper and Roy Bennett, those guys again, they took that melody and wrote I Love Only One Girl. So how common was it for composers to take these old public domain melodies and use them to create Elvis songs? Well, I found a few, but not that many. These are the ones I've found, and let me know if you know of any other ones. Five Sleepy Heads, which was written for the Speedway movie, was based on Brahms' Guten Abend, Gute Nacht. And then we have Today, Tomorrow and Forever from Viva Las Vegas, which was based on Liebestraum by Liszt. Wooden Heart, of course, one of the most famous ones, based on the German folk song Musi Den, which was published in 1827. Stay Away is based on the old traditional English folk song Greensleeves, which dates back to the 16th century. And the first two lines of each verse in Puppet on a String is based on Hush Little Baby, a traditional lullaby. Yellow Rose of Texas, of course, is a traditional American song dating back to at least the 1850s. Old MacDonald is, of course, a well-known traditional kids song. That song could be about 300 years old. There's a Brand New Day on the Horizon, which is based on John Brown's Body, which is an American Civil War song. You'll note the melody is the same in the Battle Hymn of the Republic in an American trilogy. And finally, we've got Going Home, which was a song cut from the Stay Away Joe movie. According to the composer Joy Byers, that was based on a public domain song, but I'm not sure which one she's referring to. So as you can see, there were a few, but given that the vast majority of songs written for Elvis's movies were purely original works, it does suggest to me that somebody actually might have known what they were doing at RCA. It seems quite likely that somebody knew, the person who compiled that album actually knew where those songs came from. The only slight doubt I have is with the song Guadalajara, which was only about 20 odd years old when Elvis recorded it for Fun in Acapulco. If nothing else, it's actually made me look at this album in a new light. Even if it was just a cash grab, it seems that somebody at RCA actually put some thought into it. Finally, I'd just like to say a big thank you to the viewer who told me about this, C. Solomon. Thank you very much to you, sir. And just before I go, I'll show you my copy of Burning Love and hits from his movies in a bit more detail. I don't have many copies of this album, just maybe one other, I think. I've got the American Camden one. This is actually a UK copy, and it's unusual for a couple of reasons. One, it's got the fully laminated sleeve, and the record itself is made in the UK. A lot of copies of this album were actually imported from the US, but this is an actual made in the UK version, which I understand is quite unusual, quite rare. So what do you think about the Burning Love and Hits from His Movies Volume 2 album? Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Cheers.